Hello, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, please do me a favor, subscribe, like the video, give it thumbs up. Again, welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope we all have a wonderful, blessed, successful, productive week. Again, we're about to get into the third week of the year. This is when people start to drop those New Year's resolutions and starting to get back to their normal habit. This is where we believe we're going to start the year fresh, and then we find ourselves going back to the same old story. So again, thank you everyone for your comments. Thank you for the feedback. Big shout out to my sister for the feedback. Thank you everyone who reached out to me. Again, I know it's very chaotic out there. I know the world is chaotic. I know there's a lot of noise, but I just want you to stay calm, stay focused, and keep your mind. Remember, whatever controls your thought process controls you. Again, let me repeat that. Whatever controls your thought process controls you. So again, let's get back to the video of today. So today I'm going to bring up a topic that a lot of young kids that I work with been asking me about this topic. And the big word of the day is, you guys ready? The big of the word of the day is trust. When do you know you should trust somebody or not trust them? Okay, let's break this down. Let's start with the word trust itself. The dictionary definition of trust is the reliability or the belief of someone or something. So let's start with the word trust itself. Now I'm going to give you my definition of trust. My definition of trust is your ability to predict that person's behavior or that thing behavior, or you have enough information, you have enough data. Now you can make a prediction of how this thing or this someone is gonna behave. When people lose trust is when they think they have a good reading on that someone or something, and later the something comes up, they were like, well, I did not see that coming. I don't trust that person anymore. When they say they don't trust that person anymore, it's just because the situation becomes very unpredictable. And what we like, because everything we do is about survival, we like predictability. We like to be able to predict something. If I walk out on the road right now, I know I expect to see cars or maybe people. But I don't expect to see a gunman unless you live in a country where that kind of situation takes place all the time. I don't expect to see a gunman walking down the street with a gun. If that happened, I get to the point where I either don't trust that street anymore, and if I believe that is the whole country, I begin to don't trust that country anymore. Let's go back to a person. Same situation. If you see a person, I'm like, I know this person has my safety in mind. I know they will never do anything to hurt me or harm me. Now, let's say that person, I walked in the room and that person picks up a knife and start coming towards me. And now I know, let's say I know it's not a joke. Now I get to the point where I don't trust that person anymore, because now I know the thing, I thought that person had my safety, my concern at heart, but I found out that's not the case. Then now everything becomes unpredictable. Now I don't know what to expect. And as people who like to survive, we don't want to be in a situation where day to day we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going on. Do people make mistakes? Yes. But we have to believe, okay, this one act was in isolation. It's not a constant. When we begin to be like, oh, maybe I read this person wrong. I had a profile. You guys heard of the FBI? They have profiles on criminals all the time. That profile allows them to predict that person's behavior, to know where that person is gonna be. When they get cornered, what they're gonna do? Are they gonna turn to violent, or they're gonna try to talk themselves out of it? It's the same, it's almost the same thing for our day-to-day relationships. We like to predict what our loved ones are gonna do, or what our significant others are gonna do, what our family members are gonna do, that's gonna dictate how much we trust them and not trust them. So let's begin. How do you predict someone's behavior? I don't suggest anybody should try to do that. But if you're gonna be around somebody, you need some kind of comfort level. You need to be able to predict. You need to know exactly who you're dealing with. When does somebody becomes trustworthy? Somebody becomes trustworthy is when we know how that person is gonna behave, and we can predict their actions in the future. That's gonna decide whether we trust that person or not. Now, let's become what dictates how a person behave or not. Well, part of it is their upbringing, how they were brought up, how they were programmed as a kid, what their belief system is, whether there's religion involved, there's different things involved, is what they witnessed early on in their childhood. The second part of that is going to be what they experience throughout the lifetime. And that will dictate who that person is and how they behave. So now, if somebody grew up around a lot of violence, it's most likely, unless they try really hard, they get the therapy, they do all this, most likely they're going to become a violent person. Some people may choose to, not do that, where they know, they keep that in the back of their mind. They try their best to stay away from that. But that will take a lot of hard work. So let's get back before we go all over the place. We jump a little too much where we lose what we're talking about. Let's get back. How can you predict who somebody is? I think even when we get that prediction right, when we have a good profile on where we think we have a good profile on that person, but the profile that we have on people a lot of time is flawed. Here's the reason why the profile is flawed. It's because now the way I grew up and my experiences is going to dictate also what kind of profile I create on that person. So your profile should be really based on facts, the things you witness. You witness that person in different situations. You see how they behave. You see what their core beliefs is. And I'm a true believer, people can change. But asking someone to change their core beliefs, they may be able to change some aspect of the behavior. But asking them to change their core beliefs, now you're asking for a lot. It is a lot of work for somebody to trust the stuff you were witness as a child, the stuff you were taught as a kid, the stuff you were taught in the church, the stuff you witnessed as an adult, and now you have a core belief. It is a tall task to ask somebody to trust that. But I'm gonna say, just for anybody, if you're gonna develop any kind of friendship, any kind of relationship, any kind of situation where you have to trust somebody, you have to have a good understanding of what their core beliefs is. And another mistake we made, even when that information is in front of us. If I'm walking down the street, for example, I'm walking down the street with a person. First day I'm walking down the street with them, they said, look at that bee. Okay, I'm like, you know what? He's a good guy. Maybe he just said that. Second day, he says the same thing. Third day, he says the same thing. Facts will tell me that person has a certain belief about women. It is not a positive one. Now, where we made a mistake is where we might respect women, and now we're projecting that into that person. We're like, well, he's a good guy. He made other good decisions. Now he trusts women. Now we begin to trust that person around women, expecting that person to trust women, when we should take the facts for what they are. You may choose to be around that person even after you have the facts, but that's a decision you're making consciously. You are choosing to ignore this aspect, and you decide to go forward with that person. Let's go to a relationship. Let's say you just meet somebody, you're talking to them, And now they're attractive, they have all the other criteria. Now the next question is, especially for guys. Guys are all about trust and respect. Women, on the other hand, is a little bit more about comfort level, security, financial security, even protections and all that kind of stuff. So for a guy, the first two things that come to mind: does that person respect me, and can I trust them? Now, if you want to know if you can trust that person or not, now you have to observe their behavior. You have to observe how they act. You have to observe how they act in different situations. And then when you have all that data and all that information, now you have a good understanding of who that person is, because you've seen them in different situations. You see my actions, well, you see, but most likely their behavior is going to be constant. When you have that information, don't make excuses. Accept that information for what it is. Don't expect that person to change. Don't expect that person to be a different person tomorrow. Don't say, I love them, so I'm going to give them a chance because everybody makes mistakes and blah, blah, blah. If you're going to be with that person, if you're going to decide to go forward with that person, you have to know the information, and then you have to make a decision based on what I know. Do I still want to go forward with that person? Now, if the data tells you that person is not trustworthy, and you decide to go with them, don't come back 2 months down the line, you say, well, oh my God, I'm very disappointed. I can't trust that person. Well, everything you needed was in front of you. You ignored it. There's a difference between ignoring something, and there's a difference when you don't know something. If you don't know something, that's a different case. If you choose to ignore something, my grandfather used to say something, especially my grandmother was buried last week. If somebody burned you one time, that's their fault, because possibly you didn't see it coming. If they burn you a second time and a third time, that is definitely your fault, because you are responsible to protect yourself. You are responsible when you see danger to run away from that danger. So if you choose to stay in that situation, everything that happens to you from there, I don't want to say it's your fault, but you invited that kind of stuff. So let's go back. How do you know when to trust someone? You know when to trust somebody is when you have a good understanding of how they behave, what is the core beliefs, and now those stuff align with your own core belief and what you need in life, then you should trust that person. When you should not trust somebody is when you observe their action, you see their behavior, and it does not align with your belief, it does not align with what you want, then you definitely should not trust that person. Don't let, so-and-so is gorgeous, so-and-so is beautiful, so none of that will matter. At the end of the day, it is not that difficult, guys. And I hate to keep saying that, but I've seen it over and over and over. People will meet somebody and all the facts will be in front of them. All the information will be in front of them. All the data will be right in front of them, staring at them in their eyes. And then they choose to go forward in that situation. And 2, 3, 4 months down the line, and a year down the line, they said, I cannot trust that person. Duh. Really? Duh. Am I saying you should always, and people have a tendency to say that I'm too rational, I'm too this and that, but it's a combination. You can choose to take a risk with your heart. But I want you to know, if you know you can't trust somebody and you put yourself in that situation, you might as well go to the casino, take your heart and put it on the table and gamble with it, because that is exactly what you're doing. If you see a guy have a tendency to be violent, even if it's not with you, and you trust your safety with that guy, and later that guy turns around to smack you or anything, nobody deserves that. And this guy definitely should not do something like that. But let's not say I trusted him and I did not see that coming. If you meet a woman at the club, First time you met her, she was drinking heavy. Second time you met her, she was drinking heavy, she was out. Third time you met her, she was drinking heavy, she was hanging out. Now you get in a relationship with that woman, and later on she's drinking heavy, she's going out every night. Don't get mad. Don't get upset. Because the data, the information was right there in front of you. You choose to ignore it. You choose to ignore it because you wanted it to be something that it is not, instead of accepting what is. See, and again, when I talk about the matrix where there's the world out there, but we can't live based on fiction. We have to live based on reality. The reality is just reality. Sometimes what's going on inside our head may not necessarily be what the truth is, but you should understand reality. And once you have a good grasp on reality, you can choose to go, I can choose to go to a war-torn country where gunshots are flying all the time. But when I get there, when I see gunshots and I'm getting shot at, I can't be surprised that it's taking place. Because I had all the information in front of me. And if I get shot, I took the risk knowing there was a huge possibility that I was gonna get shot. But I can't be like, oh my God, I can't believe I trusted this. I should not trust that person. My advice to you guys, a lot of times trust your own instinct. I'm not saying trust your eyes, because sometimes your eyes could deceive you. But I'm saying if you meet somebody and you're around them for about a month or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, which is why I don't believe on jumping into a relationship very quickly, because you don't have enough information, you don't have enough data yet. Because now you're just going based on loss, you're just going based on what you see. You cannot, especially in about 1 month or 2, you can't predict anybody's behavior. Because that person is also being a salesperson. They're trying to sell you something. They know what their flaws are, but they're trying to sell you the opposite. So I don't believe in jumping into relationship and jumping into friendship too quickly. Observe that person, have a good understanding what they believe in, what their core beliefs are. Have a good understanding of what kind of person they are. Then you make a decision whether you're gonna jump into a relationship with them. Even if you find out their beliefs don't align with yours, you still can make a decision to jump into a relationship with that person. But I want you to understand what you're doing. You're saying there's danger there. I'm gonna gamble. That person is gonna go against their own instinct, against their own core belief to treat me this way. If you are the kind of person who like to take this kind of gamble, go for it. People jump off cliffs, people jump off airplanes, people jump off different things. But that is the kind of risk you take it. But if that decision turns out to burn you later, I don't want to hear you crying. I want you to step back and say, you know what? I gambled, I lost. I know there was a 99.99% chance that was going to happen. We know nothing is definitely not 100%, but there was a pretty good chance, 99.99% that was going to happen. Again, I want you guys to trust. I want you guys to leave your heart open. I want you guys to be very inviting and accepting of other different people, of different things. But that does not mean you should be careless with your heart. It does not mean you should be careless with your heart. It does not mean you should be careless with your time. It does not mean you should just let your feelings and emotions take over. You put yourself in danger. That's what I'm talking about. Again, we're going into the new year. You guys are gonna meet new people. And I just think this information could be very helpful to a lot of people. Again, please guys, do me a favor. I'm gonna do my best to bring some videos for you guys at least once a week. That's my goal for 2023. I was doing well in 2022 until the last couple months into the year where I kind of, again, behavior. Let's talking about that. I revert back to my old ways and do that. But 2023, I'm gonna try to bring at least one video a week. But please subscribe. We need to get that information to everyone we can. Remember, the peace is inside of you. And also remember, happiness is a choice. Choose happiness. Enjoy your week. Do the best you can.